Hey, I've been dying to get to this story. Echostar sheds more subs as possible bankruptcy looms. Mobile, pay TV, broadband sub losses continued at Echostar Dish Q2 24. Company is conserving cash. Analysts say the company could go bankrupt possibly late 24 unless it can raise more cash. All right, so here are the details. Things looking pretty gloomy. Things looking pretty negative. Pretty dark over at Dish Network, aka Echostar. They've been trying to find ways to raise capital. They found it very difficult. There's a bondholder lawsuit. Charlie was trying to play some games with some debts, and that was a huge mistake. So he's got a pending court case for that. Here's a comment from Cable Craig, aka Clown Shoes. Quote, "We've made our view clear. We see Echostar's odds of success as a wireless operator to be vanishingly small. We believe Echostar is instead highly likely to go bankrupt, quite possibly by the end of the year." Now, let's make sure we understand this. Charlie is a shrewd operator. Just because he goes and files bankruptcy, even if he does, which, I think they do. I just don't know about the time frame. But if they do, it doesn't mean that the company is all of a sudden going to be a fire sale. You know, they can restructure and refocus the business after the bankruptcy. You know, you start writing off debts and you start going through that whole process, the corporate debt process. It allows you to then start borrowing money again against your assets. So I don't know. Moffett is saying that they're going to go bankrupt in the next 4 to 6 months. That puts it basically 1 or 2 quarters away. That's, I think, the same time frame or timeline B that you were saying. I think Moose was saying the same thing. I had it pegged at the start of next year, so that would be kind of like at the tail end of all this. New Street research analyst Jonathan Chaplin agreed, saying the level of brinksmanship is rising. They've got $9 billion in debt maturing in 26, $4 billion in debt maturing in 24 and 25. So here's the math on that, right? If the debt's maturing at 24 and 25, it's going to be harder and harder to pay that. You can't default on that debt. They haven't been able to make payments on this because they don't have revenues. Well, I should say they're not revenue positive. They basically operate at a loss. They lose customers every quarter in their wireless business. They lose customers every quarter in their pay TV business. They simply don't have the earnings to be able to pay their debts. $521 million of cash on hand. Worse than the $583 million anticipated by New Street. And by the way, I think it's this part right here. That's what made the Echostar investor capitulate today. I think the stock was down 16 or 20%. Somewhere in that range. Wireless capex for the 5G network build was $237 million for the quarter, down from the $801 million in the year ago period. Sheesh, man. Chaplin assumes that Echostar could raise debt from its AWS-4 licenses, but believes that the shareholder lawsuit would likewise complicate such a move. So trying to borrow against their Spectrum assets, I don't like that idea, but it's an option. Boost specifically lost 16,000 subs, fewer than the loss of 83,000 expected by analysts. That's good, I guess. You guys know how I feel about losses. Any losses are bad, but I guess for Boost, you have to try to find the bright side on some level. Boost would have gained 32,000 subs without the impact of the ACP program. Boost remaining 387,000 ACP recipients are at considerable risk, according to Moffett. I really don't care what Moffett says. Dish closed Q2 with 7.28 million subs. The pay TV business was mixed, shed 182,000 satellite TV, improving a year ago loss of 197,000. Sling TV gained 78,000 subs, and I think the reason why Sling gained is because all the other streaming service has gone up in cost. Echostar closed Q2 with 8.07 million pay TV subs, 6.07 million satellite TV customers, 2 million Sling TV customers. Echostar lost 23,000 satellite broadband subs in the quarter, improving from a year ago loss of 55,000, ended the period with 955,000 subs. Echostar pay TV, 2.67 billion, down from 2.97 billion in pay TV revenues. Wireless revenues, 891.35 million, down from 928.24 million. Broadband and satellite services revenues fell to 394 versus 453. Revenue from Echostar's 5G network deployment rose to 35.5 million versus 19.3 million. Oh, look at that. You build a network, you get people on it, you start making money on it. Ho, what an idea. Echostar shares were down 15% Friday morning trading. All right, so here's my takeaway, guys. They are losing less subs in every metric. If not for ACP, they actually gain subs. Is this a turnaround? Is it too little, too late? I start with you, Mr. Franconius.
I think it's too little, too late. B, to his credit, myself, yourself, and Moose have all been pegging a bankruptcy for Dish/Echostar. I think that, like you said, B did definitely say, if I'm not mistaken, by the end of this year at the very latest. I tend to agree with B on that. I don't think this is a turnaround. I think, like you said, Sneed, the only reason it looks a little bit positive on the back end is because YouTube TV went up 10%, Philo TV went up 10%, and so did Fubo TV. So if you can get Sling TV for $45 while YouTube TV is $80 a month, I mean, where are you going to go if you get the same channel selection? So the only thing that's positive about Dish is their network build, which they haven't advertised. Total by Verizon advertises more than they do, and that's where you're going to get your customer base. That's
You know
why
what I think
T-Mobile.
happened, Frank? You know what I think happened with this, bro? And you could tell me if you agree or disagree. This turnaround, this quote-unquote turnaround, needed to happen after the first year. This has been going on for 3-4 years. That is unsustainable. That's like bleeding out. You can't stop the bleeding after 10 hours. You see what I'm saying? Like, it has to be done immediately.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that they've been bleeding out for too long. Like 4 years of losses, it's just too much. No company can sustain that.
And like you said, filing for bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean the company shuts down or gets bought out immediately, because there's Chapter 11 and Chapter 13. If you do a Chapter 11, all you do is you write off your losses and
And
you
you
continue
restructure
to.
the business and the debt and
Exactly.
all that, right?
Yeah,
Which
like.
I think both of those options are on the table for them. I think any good CEO of any company or any leaders at these companies would investigate and explore those options. SMT Nation, it is time for me to introduce to you Aura. Give you guys an incredible suite of cybersecurity protections to keep everything that you do online safe, keeping you safe from identity theft, scams, online threats, including protections for your entire family. They offer pretty much a worry-free trial period. Obviously, the pricing is very competitive, starting at $12 per month. They've got one simple and easy app for you to use. They've got incredible features, $1 million in coverage, 24/7 expert fraud support, transparent pricing, the money-back guarantee at 60 days with a free trial, no strings attached. So with the odds of falling victim to an online crime being 1 in 4, this would change everything. Really should check them out. The financial fraud protection is worth its weight in gold. Help keep your kids protected within boundaries that you set forth for them. Proven to be the fastest, most reliable fraud alert system. And it's as simple as choosing your plan, simply setting up how you're enrolled, and then getting notified for all the things that it's monitoring. Start your free trial now. Use our link. It's down in the description, and it's also here on the screen, aura.com/Sneed. You guys can click the URL. It's hyperlinked down in the description. And again, it's up here on the screen, aura.com/Sneed. Protect yourself from all the digital threats that's out there in the world.